A cyclic quadrilaterals worksheet. So opposite angles have to add up to 180. So x must be 88 and y must be 69 degrees. The first thing I spot is an isosceles triangle here. There's a radius, so that's 28. So in total I've used up 56 degrees. So this one must be 124 degrees. Starting from P and Q, I go to the centre of the circle for 124, which means I can go to the edge of the circle for half of that, so this angle is 62. Now if you look at the triangle SPQ, you can see that it's also isosceles. So it looks like that, with a 62 there and two isosceles angles. So if I've used up 62, I've got 118 left. So each of these angles must be 59. So in other words, this angle here is 59. And because that's opposite this angle here in a cyclic quadrilateral, this angle must be 121. Angle at the centre is double the angle on the edge, so the x is 50. Now I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4-sided shape that fits into a circle, so if that one's 50, this one must be 130, so the opposite angles add up to 180. Opposites must add up to 180. So looking at those pair, I've got 2x plus 40 must give me 180. So 2x must be 140, so x must be 70. Whereas looking at that pair, I've got 2y plus 30 equals 180. So 2y equals 150, so y equals 75. If I start from the Q and R, I can slide along the lines to make the 35. And starting from the same two places, I can make the W, so W must be 35. If I look at this triangle down here, I've already got the 35 and the 53. So to make them add up to 180, this one must be 92. If I start from the S and the P, I can slide up to there and make 53. Starting from the same 2 points, I can slide along to there and make 53. So y must be 53. And to find z, the total angle here is 33 plus 35, so 68. And opposite angles must add up to 180 in a cyclic quadrilateral. So 180 take away 68 is 112. I've already got 53 of those degrees accounted for, so Z must be 59 degrees. Opposites add up to 180, so those two must add up to 180, so therefore 2x minus 10 equals 180, 2x equals 190, 1x equals 95. If x is equal to 95, then x minus 15, that must be equal to 80. And because opposite pairs in a cyclic quadrilateral, give me 180, y must be 100. It's a cyclic quadrilateral, 1, 2, 3, 4 corners all on the circle, so x and the 44 must add up to 180, which means that the x must be 136. I've got an isosceles triangle here. I've already used up 136 degrees, so each one of these angles must be 22. I can see a diameter, and I know that the angles that come from the ends of a diameter must always be 90 degrees. So that's 90. I've already used up 20 in that angle, so if this triangle is to add up to 180, this one must be 70. Now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, a cyclic quadrilateral here. Opposites must add up to 180. If I've already got 70 there, I must have 110 here. Now I can see an isosceles triangle here. If I've already used up 110 degrees, there's 70 left over, so each one of these must be 35. One, two, three, 4 corners on the circle, cyclic quadrilateral, so these two must add up to 180, which means that this one must be 68. That comes from P and R going to the circle, so if I do the same starting points, P and R going to the centre, this one will be double 68, which gives me an answer of 136. Now if I look at this shape here, I can see that that's a radius and that's a radius. So these two must be equal to each other, and these two are equal to each other. So actually, this has got 2 pairs of equal lines, one on top of the other, so this is a very squashed kite, which means that these 2 angles must be the same. It's a 4-sided shape, so all of the angles must add up to 360. I've already accounted for 136 and 112 of those 360, which means that in order for the whole lot to add up to 360, I must have 56 here and 56 here. The trick to this one is starting with the big triangle on the outside. This triangle here must add up to 180. That means that 75 plus x plus 4x must be 180. So in other words, 75 plus 5x is 180. So 5x is 105, so x is 21. 4 lots of 21 are 84. 1 lot of 21 is 21. I've got a cyclic quadrilateral now here. So those two must add up to 180, which means that this one must be 96. And these two must add up to 180, which makes this one 105. So the first thing I see here is a number of isosceles triangles. Here's a radius and here's a radius, so this is an isosceles triangle, meaning that this is 31. So in total so far I've accounted for 62 degrees, which means that I must have 118 left. I've got another isosceles triangle here. There's a radius and there's a radius. I've got 130 degrees accounted for, so I've got 50 left to deal with, which must mean I've got 25 there and 25 there. The next thing I see is a cyclic quadrilateral. The total angle here is 56, and it must add together with that one to give me 180. So therefore, angle Z must be 124. last question. So if I start from the P and R, I can make the 44, and also I can make the X. So X must be 44. If I start from the R and Q, I can make the 47, and also I can make the Y. So Y must be 47. I can see now that the total at this angle here is 91. And because this is a four-sided shape, so a cyclic quadrilateral, these two angles must add up to 180. I've already got 91 there, so this one must be 89 degrees here.